Welcome to Leading Voices by GSF. My name is Antoni Lacinai, keynote speaker and host of this YouTube initiative for GSF. Today I have a distinguished guest, Philippe Boulanger. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Tell me if it is. Welcome, Philippe.
Yes. Usually it's funny that you say that because when I'm traveling and I have to say my name and I see people struggling, I say, okay, just say Baker because it means baker in English. So
oh, it does. Baker.
Yes.
All right. But how do you pronounce your last name?
Boulanger.
Boulanger. Not too far away from that. Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
You represent, I know you represent the French Association, but before we go into that one, tell us about you and your occupational passion. What is it that you bring to the world?
I am passionate about innovation. So initially, I'm what we call a technologist. I have a PhD in computer science, but moving very quickly to general management and being an entrepreneur and working for big companies like Apple, like Sony, in both research and business areas. I had to find the way to be efficient in innovation. And when I decided to move to the speaking business, I said, okay, I've got something which is a wealth of information about innovation. Let's do something about it. And this is why my moniker became the innovation evangelist. So even if it was a start, it took me a while to concentrate, to gather all this information to create a system that I've called innovational intelligence. Basically, everything as a human or as an organization, you need to know and you need to put in action in order to innovate with efficiency in a company, in an organization.
And you have your own moniker, and it's so embarrassing for a communication expert like me to not have my own moniker. I should probably work on that.
Oh. You know where it came from?
And you spread your time around the world. I know you have residence in Florida, but also in France and even in Belgium. So you're all over the place, right?
Yeah, I'm all over the place. And by the way, this is where I got my moniker. I was in the first, I think, speakers convention in India just before the COVID. And I was with a number of people discussing about how to communicate about who we are and so on. And maybe you know him, the creativity explorer.
Yes. Frederick.
Frederick. So Frederick Aaron, we had a chat and we said, let's share our talks that we're going to do at this convention, such as we have some feedback. So I was very honored by Frederick that he told me that, because for me, Frederick is a kind of god, in the speaking business. And so we did. We shared what we had to do, and he told me about his moniker, which is a creativity explorer. And I said, that's very nice. Who should I be if I create a moniker? And then it came instantly, the innovation evangelist. And actually, I have some pictures on my website which are very interesting, because it's like, the TV evangelists, the religious ones. And I extended that by saying, if innovation had to be a religion, I would be the evangelist. Okay.
There you go.
So it came from a discussion in India, in New Delhi, with Frederick Aaron.
That's the global village right there that we can share, all of us. You are the representative of the French Association. How long have this association been alive?
The association has been created in 2008, actually, by two people that went to see the US convention in the US, and they came back by saying, okay, we need to create an association equivalent to the NSA. It's Laurent Tilsky, who was the first president of the association and founder of AFCP.
So it was by inspiration then from being at the National Speakers Association in the US that they got this. We need to do this as well.
Yes, and you never know what is going to happen when you go to influence in the US. I have a little story for you for that. I mean, we are storyteller, right?
We are.
So I joined the French Association in 2017, so at the very beginning of 2017. And the president at that time, Hervé Franceschi, told me, Philippe, what you're doing is absolutely great, but if you want to move one step above, you need to go to the US convention. It will be in July. You have to go there. And then I went there with like 10 other French people. And I went to the first timer event, which was a part of that. And then I met, by pure serendipity, somebody that became my wife in 2021. So,
Okay.
so I came back with a lot of ideas, a lot of new practices, and definitely it changed my way of doing things. And I came as well with somebody that would become my wife. And this is why actually I'm spending half of my time in the US now. It's because she's American.
Love was in the air. Oh, cool. Thank you for sharing that story as well. All right. What would you say is the best thing about your French Speakers Association?
First, it does exist, and it is a very necessary association for me because, as you know, the speaking business makes a speaker usually pretty isolated. And when you are alone working on your desk to maybe to communicate, to share on social networks, yeah, you're very alone. You're very lonely. And the association actually gives this sense of family, and many times it comes back. And I've seen that actually as well in the US. There is a sense of family. Maybe it's the same for you, Antoni, in your association.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this sense of family is so good that you've got a shot of dopamine every time you have a meeting with the association, and you learn new things from the others. And I cannot say how much I've learned discussing with my colleagues, whether in the US or in France, and a lot in France. And today, I think that I give much more than I can learn, but I still learn. I give much more, and it's a pleasure to help those new speakers coming up and to give them the tools, the practices that we have discovered along our business.
So thank you for that. I can absolutely see that's why I call it the village, the global village. It's this,
Yeah.
you know, we're together in this. We understand how it is. Okay, so give me another example of what you have achieved within the association that you're really proud of, that other can learn from as well.
So, what we did initially is it was very concentrated on Paris because, you know, France is very concentrated on Paris. And last year, for the first time, we have expanded a little bit outside of Paris, and we did our first real event gathering speakers and customers, by the way, in south of France, in Valence. So it was a first, and we're going to continue that to have more presence in the rest of France. Usually, people are coming to Paris just for the AFCP meeting. So some people are taking flights or train from Nice, for instance. I mean, it's a 1 hour and 20 minutes flight. But if you look at door to door, it's much more than that. Spending a night in Paris because they have to do it. So it's a real commitment to come to the AFCP meetings. And we have changed our stance from COVID. I would say at COVID time, my challenge, because I was the president, and I have to say in terms of timing, I was elected president the day of the lockdown in France.
Oh, all right.
Okay. So if you speak to me about timing, I'm pretty good at that.
You need to innovate, I guess, find new ways.
And of course, based on my knowledge, because I was doing some video conferencing already a lot, just to give you an idea, I did the first video conferencing system on the Apple Macintosh platform. So basically what you know today, which is FaceTime and so on, is inherited from what I've done with Apple in the very beginning. So I'm very knowledgeable about video conferencing, but not only the usage of the technology, but as well how to present how to present yourself, how to be efficient in front of a camera, how to speak to a camera, and so on. And of course, we had to train everyone because they didn't have the same acumen that I had at that time. So we started to train everyone. We did our first convention completely remote because we couldn't even do it in a hybrid mode. So it was a completely online convention, and it worked well. It was a nice challenge. Actually, we did it from with Sabine, who was my co-host. We did it from the same office I'm in right now, and managing the speakers all over. So I think that AFCP and all associations in that respect had a huge responsibility at COVID time. The responsibility to keep the business afloat, the associations afloat, and we did it well. Now, with Jean-Philippe as our current president, Jean-Philippe wants to get people together again, and we stopped doing online stuff because he wants to get again people together, which I understand. It's a different paradigm.
We actually have both in Sweden. We have what we call competence events on Zoom for like an hour, 2 hours, and then we have the conferences and even parties that we meet like in person. So we have both, and I absolutely agree that one of the pivotal moments almost where the rubber hit the road was during the pandemic, when some people say, I'm going to wait this out, but other people say, let's dive right into it. Help me. I don't understand chat. I don't understand breakout rooms. Can we do something? I mean, it's common today, but at that point, it wasn't very common. So yeah, I can see how we built and helped each other out. Really good. All right, thank you. Another question then. What is one challenge that you face within your association that perhaps we can resonate with as well, the rest of us?
Oh, I think it's...
Or if it's unique for you.
Well, I don't know if it is unique for us, but definitely it will resonate. We have, of course, a turnover every year, which is pretty significant because we have new people coming in that would like to become speakers. And it took them a while to understand that the work to be done is pretty significant. I remember when I joined this first influence in the US in 2017, I was told by an American speaker, it will take you 3 to 4 years to start to live with your gigs. It's very difficult to do that shorter, unless you're a celebrity for another reason, which is another topic. And I said, okay, fair enough. And people have a hard time to believing that.
So you mean that the perseverance is not there for many of the new speakers? So they come and then they bounce out again.
So usually they come and after 2 years, they move out. And we have defined a rule within AFCP where we have multiple tiers of speakers. We have what we call the explorers. So the explorers are the people that are coming in. They want to become a speaker and they want to learn how to become a speaker. And they have 2 years to ramp up to become a professional. If they don't, they've got to leave the association. So
even if it takes 3 to 4 years and you decide that 2 years is your deadline.
2 years is your deadline, you have to make the work. Okay? So it's a little bit tough, but at the same time, thanks to that, we are increasing the overall value of the association with people who are staying. So we have a stable base of professional speakers today, including some very nice headliners. And this was it has been my job to bring some headliners back in the association. And of course, headliners are attracting new speakers because they want to know, these famous people, how they have done it and what is their secret sauce and so on. And in all fairness, they are explaining what they have done, but it's not enough. It's like reading a book or looking at videos on YouTube. It's not because you have the knowledge that you do it. So the key point inside the association is to activate people such that they can take action and they can become those speakers. If they don't want to do the job, fair enough, they should not stay in the association.
Okay, so there's no entry. there's no filter to enter, but there is a filter after 2 years that you have to, a threshold, you can say, that you have to go above. Okay, cool.
This is
We
something
have a
that
different
we've
story
done.
in us. We have a threshold first, and then once you're in until you say
Okay,
it's no longer a viable business, I'm going to leave.
We have a kind of threshold, which is we for any new member, we have an audition, and we are trying to understand where they are already, and what they do. So usually, somebody who has never spoken is not going to be accepted.
Okay. So there is some, they have to do something before they enter the association. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Next question. Crystal ball question. What is the future for you? What is the, not crystal ball perhaps, but what is it that you are planning to do within the next 1 or 2 years to enhance your association?
Well, so we have a new board today, which is made only of headliners, which is excellent because it was not the case before. I think it's a long work we have done since multiple years that went there, and we want to increase again the professional value of all the speakers, and we are communicating more and more. Actually, I'm very proud of the team communicating within AFCP today. Because we have never been that present on social networks. So I think that one of the key goals we have is this marketing of the industry, not marketing of speakers, of individual speakers, but marketing of the industry, such as the customers know that they will be able to come to AFCP speakers being safe on the performance of the speakers.
All right.
So I think this is the biggest challenge we have today. And
you mentioned something about CSP as well. Was there something, a novelty in that, or what was it? Before we started this conversation, right before I pressed record.
Yes. So I have been discussing since a while with the initial NSA organization about how we could apply to confer the CSP in France. And I think we are square now. We have defined everything and we are compliant. So we will apply to the GSF CSP Harmonization Committee in order to be able to confer the CSP. So there is a very nice process being done in GSF for that, such as we keep the CSP at the highest level in our association. So we have not made any compromise on that activity. It has been a long process because I've been again the gateway, between the US and France because of my dual membership between the two associations, and because of my involvement in the French association. So, and I'm trying as well, every time I see good practices somewhere, I'd like to explain them to our association to say, okay, look what I've seen in the US, look what I've seen in India, what I have seen elsewhere, and then sure, we'll try to maximize what we can do in our association. So CSP is one of them, and the next one I think will be the Hall of Fame as well.
All right. Okay, so that's going to come as well.
Yeah.
So you mentioned look at what they've done in other countries and so on, which leads me to one of my final questions, which is about Global Speakers Federation, GSF. What is it that you want from or wish for, or perhaps are already grateful for when it comes to GSF and the interaction with you?
So GSF for me is another location where we are sharing with an open mind what we think we should do for the industry on a worldwide basis. And every time I participate to GSF event, whether it's a board meeting or the Global Speaker Summit and the GSS that we have every 2 years, it's bringing me new ideas on how we should do things. And I love the way it is structured because it is very precise, it is very well managed in multiple ways, and we're asking the right questions about the future of the speaking industry. So GSF so far for me is a very interesting center point to have all those people to get discussing together. And basically what we are doing today, Antoni, is one of the results of GSF. It's based on your initiative, and which I respect and I applaud, because it is something that we don't see everywhere. So what you're doing, thanks, because it's part of the spirit we have in GSF.
This is just about serving and see if we can knowledge share things together. And that's why we do it. So yeah, I'm no longer at the board, but this is my way of giving back anyway. Thank you so much. Well, you know what? Did I miss a question? Was it something I should have asked you now, Philippe, that I haven't?
Well, it depends how many hours you have in front of you.
We don't have that many hours. These are short,
okay, so
10 to 20 minutes sessions that we have.
So then we're going to keep it there then.
All right, cool. Philippe, it's been a pleasure to meet you again. We actually met in 2018 first time. We realized that in Paris. That was the first time we met physically, also in person.
That's right.
Thank you again for this. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Antoni. It was a pleasure.